I will not say who cative is, but I will look in the direction of Katiyus. The diatribe that was expressed over the last 35 minutes from someone who proclaims to be an element of greater society, but all we have listened to, Mr. Speaker, is a rogue in our society. That is what we have listened to. Someone who has come to the parliament, prancing around, puffing their chest, sounding very sophisticated, but in fact is a pseudo-intellectual. That is what they are. They have no place in a moral society because all their acts when they were in government was based on moral perversion. That is the same person who till this day cannot find the Fort Russian. That is the same person who has come here to denigrate public servants. Harry Gill was a staff of the Ministry of Education prior to 2015, when that document was compiled, produced. They speak glowingly of their track record, Mr. Speaker, but that is the same person who gave millions of dollars to their own, from our own ministry, to their own private company. That is corruption to the highest order, and there is evidence of it. Of course, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, they will speak of GT&T's monopoly, but what they have refused to tell the people under Desmond Hoyt in the PNC, that is when that monopoly was birthed. And when the PPP came into office, when Dr. Ali came back into office, that monopoly was broken. And 2 months after we took office in 2020, liberalization took place in our country. That is how a democracy works. So coming here and speaking as though no one knows what took place during your time, I must say, Kati is a caitiff. That is the same person whose family's address was used during the signing of the production sharing agreement between Exxon and the government. The same person. That was the same person whose governments had a signing bonus of 18 million US that until to this day, we have no clue where it is. That is the same person in whose party one of its former leaders' wife was the witness to that PSA agreement. And they speak about corruption in our country just moments after. That is one of the persons who went publicly to say that 33 is not the majority of 65. That is the kind of people who come here and they make all these glib statements, but in fact, all they are, I don't know if this is a parliamentary term, Mr. Speaker, but all they are crooks in suits. Crooks in suits.
Honorable Minister, please withdraw. Yes. And if you have any doubt about the parliament, a word, don't use it.
Mr. Speaker, I was asking if I could have said so, but thank you very much for saying it. All right? So, Mr. Speaker, moving forward, why is it that we have this massive budget? And we are actually very proud of this massive budget. You know why? Because we went around this country meeting thousands of people. Thousands of people. The last record in the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, just between the last budget to the presentation of Dr. Singh, we have done over 2,000 meetings across this country. Right? Minister Todd spoke about himself alone doing more meetings in Region 10 than the entire combined opposition, except Schuman, of course. So we are here to represent the ambition of the people of this country. We are not here to hold back and deny people opportunities. More money is going to be spent, more people are going to make money. There will be more money in the pockets of poor people of this country. And that is what APNU is scared of. Every single village in this country will have intervention from budget 2022, put together by Dr. Ashni Singh and the thousands, 40,000 public servants. The 31 of you there, you are denying the integrity of the 40,000 public servants who put this budget together. When you come here, never contributed to it. As a matter of fact, some of you have been representing that you were not consulted. Some of you were representing that the regional chairman of Region 4 was not consulted. You know, when we were doing the budget consultation for our sector, where the Region 4 chairman was? He was cussing the US ambassador and the US government in New York, in Brooklyn. That is where he was. That is why they couldn't participate, because they were somewhere else discussing other people's business. They were not discussing their own business. And as a matter of fact, for Nemo's Fulu's case, in 2020 and 2021, in her own village, when PNC and APNU could not do a single street, we did 3 streets in Mocha. 3 streets in Mocha, including, tell them Nemo Flu, including Barnum Boulevard. They couldn't even do Barnum's Boulevard. We did it. So then they come here, Mr. Speaker, and they're not representing the people of Region 4, you know. This year, the budget of Region 4 is the biggest ever, even when they were in government. It is almost $1 billion more. But you know what they come here to say? That the regional chairman got $3 million. That is what they're representing. But actually, they are leaders of your own party that called me to say that the Region 4 chairman was not doing justice to the people of Region 4. So they say, Nigel, you focus on working in the villages. That $3 million that they're fighting for, it was for a conference that they put together. And guess who was going to get the catering and the hosting for the conference? One of their cronies in the media. That is what they are fighting for. $3 million for the budget of the regional chairman of Region 4, rather than supporting the $1 billion increase that we've given to the people of Region 4. It is, shame is probably a non-parliamentary term, but I think shameless is not. And that is what the people of APNU AFC.
Honorable member, it is unparliamentary again. You're going good without trying to use those adjectives.
So, Mr. Chairman, sorry that I used that word. But could I, Mr. Chairman, use a synonym? Could I say that it is Annette Ferguson? Could I say Annette Ferguson then, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker? So, Mr. Speaker, the reason why we are at this point is because people trust us. This very amphitheater is one of the tools where that process of trust building began. This is also one of the places where people totally lost trust in the APNU AFC. This here is where the recount was done. This here is where the results were tabulated. And the PPPC won the elections handsomely. This is where President Ali was also sworn in, and our Attorney General, and our Vice President, and of course our Minister of Governance, and as a matter of fact, all of us members of the Cabinet. This here is the symbol of democracy in our country, and I am happy that our Speaker has us here in Parliament. Mr. Chairman, trust is very important. But how can people trust the APNUFC when all that they have done, they have been fibbing for 5 years? What have they done? How can you How can you be trustworthy when you're not competent? How can you be trustworthy when you're not competent? What have they done in 5 years to prove that they are competent? If they were competent, they would have been in government. I say no more. If they were competent, they would have been in government. If someone is competent, Mr. Speaker, they would not be moving from ministry to ministry like Annette Ferguson. All right? They would not be hopscotching from ministry to ministry. You know why? Because President Granger had no confidence in Annette Ferguson. But how can you be confident? How can you be confident in someone who's campaigning in a cemetery? How can you be confident? So, Mr. Speaker, there's also this issue of credibility. And the mere fact that we are standing here as a government, presenting a budget on behalf of the people of this country, shows that people see us as credible leaders. But how can you accept the 31 APNU AFC members of parliament as credible leaders? Well, it's starting now because, you know, as we are in that, Honorable Ramson, as we are in that, this same sanctified body called the Dome of the Arthur Chung Conference Center. This here is also the place where the opposition leader of PNC was driven out. This same place. You know why? Because here is where the divine things happen, not the sanctimonious things that you do across there. And the sanctimonious people that you pretend to be. A set of pretentious people you are, all of you. A set of pretentious people. You know, you listen to no one, but you come here and make all kinds of false pronouncements. This old mantra that you have of corruption and discrimination. Let us go into your history. It is globally documented that the PNC is a racist party. It is globally documented. Since 1973, it has been documented. It was in WikiLeaks. The PNC is a racist party. And naturally, you will have nothing else to say. You can't go into the villages and speak about development because you've done nothing. You can't go into the villages and speak about your track record, but you do nothing. Of course, Ferguson can go to a cemetery in Charity and speak of her track record. That is what Ferguson did. And at Ferguson, people of Guyana went to Charity on the Essequibo coast and spoke at a funeral and asked a dead man to vote for APNU. All right? And forgot his name too. Turn up to the people in funeral, Brother Raymond funeral, and call him Brother James. Right? Brother Raymond, yeah. So I don't understand, you know. 31 rabble-rousers are trying to change the course of this country. No, we're not going to allow it. We will never be bullied again. Never be bullied. This is the wrong team you're trying to bully. We are not going to be bullied. So please, you know, sing that in. We're not going to be bullied. Then, Mr. Speaker, the person who's coming after me, is fighting to be the opposition leader. Yeah. That person, a senior counsel, you know, a senior counsel in this country, fighting to be the opposition leader of, and guess what? He contested to be the chairman of the PNC. He got 200 and something votes, and a guy who works at a mortuary got 400 and something votes. The chairman of the PNC, Mr. Speaker, I went to President's College, right in the first batch. They like to speak about it as Burnham School. I had the personal satisfaction of meeting Burnham. Many of them never did. I met him in person. And you know what? And I always remember his posture. He was sitting in the common room, and then I think his PA then was, his ADC was Walton, Honorable Prime Minister. And all I remember Burnham doing, platting his feet And he made a sign like this to Walton, and then Walton turned up with a pack and opened it and lit a cigar in front of all of us. We were 11 years old in the President's College. But look, you know, he is held in such esteem by some people. And look what his party has come to. Look what his party has come to. The chairman of his party used to work at a mortuary. The vice chairman of Burnham's party, as a regional engineer of Region 5 GWI, they built an office that was estimated at 12 million Guyana dollars. When we counted, it was 72 million and still not yet complete. Shame, well, I can't say shame again. I have to say Annette Ferguson again. You know, now look at the
in spite of what we may think of, you still have to use honorable.
Okay, Honorable Annette Ferguson. So, Mr. Chairman, to use a phrase of my colleague Dr. Ashni Singh, the high point, the piece de resistance. Of the APNU AFC government in community development is the construction of a Tennessee in the middle of Georgetown for $1.6 billion. Right? That is their piece, their resistance. That is what they have to show the people of Georgetown. But you know what we are doing, Mr. Chair, Mr. Speaker? Last year, President Ali decided that he was going to put money into our budget to rebuild the City Hall. The PPPC government is restoring the City Hall. This year, we are spending an additional $400 million towards the restoration of City Hall. And then you know what? They tell us we're not putting money into the city. They tell us we're not putting money into the city. Actually, the last government gave the city $65 million, and they used $11 million to buy a vehicle for Uberage. What? Yeah, that is what they used the money for. They put it towards restoration. They put it towards cleaning Georgetown. As a matter of fact, I have in my office, Mr. Speaker, 2 documents sent to me by lawyers. The APNU AFC, and I will give it to you, Mr. Speaker, so I'll call the name. They owe Chung Global $580 million in Georgetown for the cleanup. You know what else they did? Because I don't know if I could also use this word, but there's a vulgar attempt that they have done to politicize the debt of some people.
You can't use that word.
They have politicized the debts of some people. Honorable Gita Chandan, who used to be a PYU, then AFC, now PNC, creature, vice chair, general secretary. Then back to PPP. There's always space. We are a very loving party and we forgive. The family of Cromewing. The last government owed that family $40 million. $40 million. And every day those people badger me about the disservice that the last government did to them. And those people come to our parliament preaching, but then the Barbadian ambassador, what did he say? Sanctimonious gangsters. That is who you are. That is who you are, John Beale. Sanctimonious gangsters. So I am terrified that Burnham's party is now run by a mortician and not by a senior counsel. What a brilliant man is Burnham, a senior counsel in his own. All right. But and guess what, Mr. Speaker? The man who is now leading his party is probably the most racist person in this country. Or he is the most racist person in this country. All right? And I was hopeful. I was told, Shara Duncan told me that he was, Honorable Shara Duncan told me that Norton was going to come to Parliament yesterday, so I brought a turkey feather. But I didn't see him turn up because I wanted to light my turkey feather. All right? So I agree with Mr. Granger. I agree with Mr. Granger. Norton is a disservice to boredom. And Norton really should not be the leader of the PNC. As I'm actually, you know, they're so confused. Someone from Golden Grove, the village that I spent 5 years of my life in, that Honorable Ferguson, Ferguson has not gone to for a long time. They went. Whilst we were having the debate here, Mr. Chairman, Norton was in Golden Grove sharing flyers. And one of the flyers said that the PNC wanted $125,000 as the minimum wage. Look, Brother James is saying the same thing. But guess what? Ramjitan came here, AFC, but he said 100,000. But they're not anymore the coalition. They are the AP and UAFC coalition. That is what they are. They're the coalition. So, Mr. Speaker, a lot of people would like for me to say too that we believe in democracy. We believe in people's choices. We believe that for our country to continue to evolve, for development to come flowingly to our people, that we must have local government elections. We are going to have local government elections this year. We have budgeted billions of dollars for local government elections, and we are going to have local government this year. However, I've read in the online news 2 days ago that the AP and UAFC GECOM commissioners, they have put some effort towards stymieing the conduct of local government elections this year. So you know what? You know why they don't want local government elections this year? Because they're not sure if they're going to contest as APNU, AFC, or PNC. So that is, you are in a quandary. The PNC is in a quandary right now. Because, so they have, now they are threatening the conduct of local government elections. But Madam Teixeira will speak more about that. We have budgeted billions of dollars for GECOM, in excess of 4.1 billion, and local government elections is on the card for the government during the course of this year. Actually, I noticed they've asked me a question on local government elections, but I want to make some revelations, Mr. Speaker. One of their MPs and one of the leaders, the EXCO member, an EXCO member of the PNC called me and said that we are happy that the government, or, well, they said y'all, right? They said y'all didn't have elections for chair and vice chair at the end of the year, and they were grateful for the directive of the Attorney General. So I asked why, and they said there are some constituencies that we are fearful of losing. So they want to remain that way until, for the next few months. They were scared of losing some of their NDCs. But you know what? Come local government elections, you're going to lose a lot of NDCs. You're going to lose more constituencies. You will lose more constituencies. All right? But here what? They are accustomed. Losing has become legendary in the AP and UFC. They have lost the no confidence motion. They lost the 2016 local government elections. They lost the 2018. They lost the 2020. And by the way, the person who is going to come to speak after me is supposed to be their legal guru. But every single case on the Constitution. But AG, Honorable AG, Mr. Speaker, could I ask him? If you are supposed to be like a constitutional lawyer, you are supposed to know the Constitution? But he has lost all the cases to our AG. All the constitutional cases, Roysdale Ford lost, Honorable Member, to the Honorable AG. So, and also the former Attorney General, the the wise Basil Williams, you know. So, Mr. Speaker, corruption stalked our land for too long. Corruption stalked our land for too long. And the people, I can go one by one. One of them stole 5 million on the sled. And you know what he bought? A white BMW in Linden. Not pigs, BMW. And you know what? Well, I don't have to repeat. I just hope that the Guyana Police Force, they're listening. I hope SOCO listening. The barber chairs, imagine. Nearly $5 million in barber chairs. There is one, I wouldn't call Vincent Henry's name, but the one in Region 9, $163 million passed through his hands. Right? He buy a ranch. He buy a ranch. I hope, I just hope. Alright? It's Kazakh? Yeah, Kazakh. 163 million. Then there is my good friend. Right? There's my good friend. You know, she got a house lot, Mr. Speaker. And when she started to build the house, she realized the house bigger than the land. So she gave herself 3 more house lots. 3 more house lots she gave herself, right in Eccles. The second biggest building in Eccles belongs to her, after the mall. All right? The second biggest building. And then they can come here and preach about the Bible. That is what it's come and preach about. All right? But God don't sleep. God don't sleep. And I know the Lord, God don't sleep. Some people think they can come and hide and lie, you know. So then, Mr. Speaker, the other day, one of them, you know, whilst he was speaking, he realized he was running out of things to say, so he started to mash brakes. But you know, that person, Mr. Speaker, is a billionaire. 5,000 firearm licenses at $1 million is $5 billion. That's 25 million US. And you know what? You all remember the story? 5 million transferred to a Citibank account in the US. And you know what else? Started a securities firm. And they were given that security firm almost twice as much the daily rate as the other security firms. And you know what else they invested the money in? A private hospital. I'll tell you all the name later. All right, but I wouldn't look in Ramjatan direction. I would not look. Then I can't speak about the caitiff. I just spoke about her pseudo-intellectualism. But the raucous way that they stole money from... You know why they're scared of this big budget? And why they're upset about it? Because they can't get money to thief. All right? They can't get any money to thief.
Honorable member reference to thieving and stealing and stolen are all...
Mr. Chairman, I withdraw the word thief. And the tour de force of the AP and UAFC, you know, that's their skill. Tour de force means skill, right, Brother James? Their pilfering in 5 years has been legendary. Over $1 trillion can be converted into public development in our country. They spent over $1.3 trillion. 1.4, I stand corrected. And what do they have to show for it? And these are the people who come to the parliament, the 31 of them, and they come here and try to preach to us about what we must do. There is one of them who will not speak today, but he has signed away all, you know, the amount of money that he has. Only a few days ago, I was driving up the East Coast by Golden Grove, and in a few months, this monstrosity just grew out of the ground. Right? A monstrosity just grew out of the ground. But he can't give evidence anymore because he can't talk. But I wouldn't call name again. But y'all know what I'm saying. Every village is going to be in this budget. And you should not be ashamed. You should not be ashamed because again, that is who you are. Your tour de force is pilfering. Your tour de force is taking other people's money and converting it to your own use. That is what you have done for 5 years in our country.
Honorable Minister, we will need an extension for you. And again, pilfering, thieving, we can't accuse honorable members of those things.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, but there are matters in court.
Honorable Minister, I still need to get the motion for the extension. That is on parliamentary too. Honorable Member Ms. Ferguson, if you're going to insist, we're going to have to ask that you leave the chamber, right? Okay. Honorable Minister Teixeira.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to ask that the honourable member be given 5 minutes to conclude. And maybe the honourable member could say sticky fingers instead of pilfering.
Thank you.
Honorable Minister, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, there are members of the opposition and some of their upper echelon, members of their upper echelon, who are before the court for corruption. Some are also before the court for stealing elections. There is one who has not yet gotten to court, Mr. Chairman, who converted a bed sheet to their own use and probably gave it to Mingo to prepare the spreadsheet. All right, but Mingo is before the court as well. Yep. A former minister of government is before the court for billions of dollars in corruption. And you know what? You know why, Mr. Chairman? Because of state capture. They had two modes of operandi in their pursuit of governance: state capture and client politics. That is the modus operandi of the last government. But we have a lot of work to do, Mr. Chairman. In the local government regional development sector, in addition to the overseas responsibilities that we have over $71 billion that we have to spend in our villages. We have to clean up our country. Unfortunately, the mayor of Georgetown and not the opposition leader, but the leader of the PNC they do not want us to clean up Guyana. I can report that the mayor and deputy mayor of Linden, they came out in support. Right now, the people in Port Maiconi, they are cleaning with us. Every single area of our country, we are cleaning. And we are going to put more money to transform this country. We are putting $5 billion to community infrastructure. We are putting $714 million to provide greater support to our local democratic organs all across our country. Something that the last government never did, you know. And they speak about how they were working. Well, by the way, the staff of the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, you know what they told me? They have never seen the former minister in 5 years, some of them. He has never even gone down to the back of the building in 5 years. So what do you think will happen on the ground? That is why APNO lost. You have no relations with poor people on the ground. And of course, my friend Roysdale Ford, honorable member whom I know since the 90s on the tarmac of the University of Guyana. I was shocked though, Roysdale Ford, honorable member, that you only got 200 and something votes in this big PNC party that has 217,000 voters. I was shocked for you. And you weren't here, but I was also very shocked for you and disappointed that a mortician beat you to the chairmanship of the PNC. So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, we have a lot of work to do. We are going to be converting our villages. We have a lot of investments to make. Thousands of people are going to be employed. As a matter of fact, within our sector alone, in the last 18 months, we have had over 7,000 persons employed. And this year, we are going to employ more people. As the MP responsible for Region 2, I'm happy that the Honorable Minister of Finance did mention that we are going to have some shrewd investments in Region 2 to employ hundreds of young people. That the Minister of Agriculture also has a plethora of investments. The public works that we're going to be doing is not just about spending money, you know. People are going to get jobs. The housing development, people are going to get jobs. My friend Pandit Dinesh Jai Prasad across there, when I was in Port Morant, you know what he did, Honorable Susan? He commended our government and you specifically for the work you have done, giving them street lights and doing roads in his constituency. And then they come here in the parliament, and you know what, they got to bite their tongues. Mr. Chairman, finally, before I close, when I listened to the Honorable Katiyu spoke, I was wondering, you know, some of them were saying that there is a problem of fish catch in our country. But the moments whilst that former the person was speaking, and you listen to the noise, you would have thought that all the fishes out of the Atlantic Ocean, the Bangameri, the Kwakwari, the all over the side. You know, so Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to be part of this process of contributing to the successful passage of Budget 2022. The ambition of the people of our country can be finally realized. 2020, President Ali charted the course. 2021, the platform was laid. 2022, we are launching. And we would like all Guyana to be on board with us as we continue to work towards the development and prosperity of our country. I thank you very much, and I do look forward to the free passage of this budget. Thank you very much.